half a corner couch. We're so excited to have you here. And of course, today is going to be quite the nice conversation because we're tapping into comedy, right? The business of comedy. And if you've always thought yourself a super funny girl, super funny guy, you want to get into comedy, then this is the episode for you. Thank you so much once again for joining us. My name is Nia Brown. I will be your host for today. And of course, I've got some very interesting and hilarious guests joining us on the show today. We've got Zile, we've also got Tsitsi and Primo19. And I think the great thing about having these particular guests is that you guys are all comedians, right? You consider yourself comedians, but you're comedians in different spaces because comedy has kind of changed and evolved over the years, right? Tsitsi, comedy is not just like stand-up comedy and someone's got a mic.
Yeah.
Comedy's kind of moved on to like the social media space now, hasn't it?
Yeah. I guess when you ask me the first questions, now I feel like the fossil of
This is our forefather.
I feel like the Aristotle of comedy.
Yeah.
And everything has kind of moved on towards it. But I really do feel like comedy has changed. I think the idea of what a comedian is has also changed, and a lot of people have to kind of get onto this. I mean, these guys are now our competition to the market, and or we have now all become a part of the same industry.
I wanted to ask you if it's a good thing or a bad thing, the fact that comedy has kind of evolved and changed over the years.
It depends how well you are doing personally.
Yeah.
True. You can't say it's doing well and whether it's not doing well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it depends on you personally, how you are doing, and how you accept change and stuff like that. But I feel like comedy as an industry is doing so much better. There's a lot more eyes towards people who are attempting to be funny to an audience, and that is always going to be good for us.
Yeah. Primo, has comedy ever died? Does it feel like it's making a comeback now? Because there's some people out there who might say, okay, we are used to stand-up comedians, and then comedy just kind of took a dive, and then it died a little bit, and now it feels like it's making some kind of a resurgence.
I don't think comedy dies, right? I think every generation adjusts to the level of expression that's coming next. So, I mean, I grew up under stand-up comedy. I used to watch Def Comedy Jam. I used to watch, all these things religiously. And I think the turn of the tide just meant that the people who didn't grow up on that are going to grow up on something different. So the evolution will happen naturally either way. The kids of today would rather listen to someone for 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds instead of watching a stand-up comedian talk for an hour. So I think naturally Tsitsi,
It's nothing.
Nothing on you. We respect our forefathers. But that's why also there's also transitions, That's why there's we've all worked together now in a certain capacity, even though I'm a ultra short format, this is long format, this is stage format. So we've now come to a place where the evolution now brings us together. Now he can chat and we can listen and we can act it out and he can give it to the people. So I think the evolution is good.
That's dope.
It's natural.
Very powerful.
The way you put it, I was like, I have a use still in comedy.
You do. You see he'll still tell you, Sky, go.
Of course. And I guess that's the thing, right, Zile, is the fact that there are some people out there who think to themselves, now I'm funny, I used to be the funny guy in the house, I used to tell jokes. But maybe they're not super comfortable standing in front of the crowd, right? They might feel more comfortable putting a camera up and telling their jokes that way. Does that make them less of a comedian?
No, to be honest, I feel like being like, the end goal of a comedian is just to make someone laugh. How you do it doesn't really matter, to be honest, as long as you're not offending anyone. You know what I'm saying? There are some people who are like very, very, very funny, but if you chill with them, they won't even say a word.
You know what
I'm saying? I've seen people very long, I can binge watch them, but when I'm sitting with them, they can just and shy. But on the camera, they are like explosive. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to comedy, there's room to expand. There are some people who are versatile, who can do short form, who can make you laugh face to face, who can still make you laugh on stage. You know what I'm saying? And what I like about comedy is that people are already are always ready to learn more, or how can you surprise me? I just want to laugh at the end of the day. How you do it doesn't really matter, you know what I'm saying? So it's the thing of execution is the most important part, but the body doesn't really matter like that. You know what I'm
So
saying?
do it the way you feel comfortable, right? Do comedy the way you feel
But also,
comfortable.
that's how it comes out the best.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you really know how to control a crowd, that becomes your art in that sense, you know, and learning how to do that becomes your discipline. So if I am best behind a phone, you know, whatever happens before the phone comes out is none of your business.
Exactly.
You guys laughing actually
Yes.
is all that really matters.
Yes.
Tsitsi, as a stand-up comedian,
I also do
now.
social media. You know.
Yeah. But no, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with being a stand-up comedian. But I'm just saying that, you know, there are some people that think and believe that stand-up comedy is comedy in its truest form because that's what it was for a very long time. Do you now look at these young guys like Zille and Primo, and do you think that them using social media is a shortcut?
I mean, me and Primo are the same age, so these young guys, as young guys,
these young cats.
as young cats, all of us. Because I'm listening, I'm like, guys, no way.
Yeah.
No, but what I, to be honest, I also got into comedy on the last wave of stand-up still being cool, right? And the first wave of social media. So I've seen all these social media guys, and I think that the thing that made me personally reluctant on joining earlier was the longevity of what social media was at the time, right? I mean, I saw a lot of guys and girls, you know, shoot up and go down, shoot up and go down. And when you're looking at your contemporaries or the people that you're looking up to, it's like your David Cow and all that stuff.
Traditionalists almost.
Yeah, like 20 years still in the game, still doing blacks only, and it's still selling out. And you're like, okay, there's longevity here. Because there was no creative aspect of thinking about comedy and of thinking of comedy any other way. And then over time you start learning and you'll be like, okay, cool, there's this whole other avenue. Because when YouTube started, like, I remember I was still in school and we tried to do the YouTube thing. I tried to do Jackass and it worked out because I remember at the time we got like 3,000 views on YouTube and I felt famous. Like I was walking around Southgate feeling like someone's gonna be like, hey, you're that guy. Because 3,000 views at the time was like,
it's huge.
Was insane, right? And so for me, it's like whenever I looked at it, when I started especially, for me it was the longevity of it because I knew that I wanted to make a career out of this. And when I saw guys like just dwindle off, I was very scared of trying out the social media route. But now, you know, I'm out there.
Yeah.
Social
I don't
media.
know if I can pitch in, you know. There's something you said there about comedy, stand-up comedy, and when it's still cool or whatever the case may be. You know, I feel like stand-up comedy is the penultimate level of comedy because that's where you find your closest connection to the people. You're in their minds, you're in their faces, you're in their eyes. You know, everything really counts at that point. So from a social media standpoint, I felt like I needed to get to where you are. I said I need to respect the stage so much so that by the time I step on, I must be hilarious. So like I made it that if I'm looking up to that platform. It's everything I'm doing now on social media, I don't need the longevity. Even if there is, I don't need it because I'm going to where the longevity really is. You know what I'm saying? So now it feels like a stepping stone. You know, now you'll have, I'm acting now, I'm a model. I didn't think I was a model. So it's giving you these, I'm
Who's hiring you to model?
No, I thought you were selling like, you know, like those, what do you call them? Those things that the Kagats. Reflectors. Yeah, reflectors need models too.
No,
I don't think
I'm relatable to my para.
Drip or something.
Yeah, or a salati sugar.
Funny enough, you say that. Né? I see it the same way you see it, like stand-up comedy. Né? I feel like it's like the ultimate goal. On YouTube, we have this thing of like 10 million subs. Né? That's like the ultimate milestone. When you reach there, you can be like, you know what? I've completed YouTube. Or when you say in soccer, we call it Ballon d'Or. If you don't have a Ballon d'Or or World Cup, you didn't reach anywhere. So I see it like that. I see stand-up comedy as much as I can be rocking your social social media things, but I see stand-up comedy as like the biggest thing. And recently I've done it, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago, I've done stand-up for the first time. But I was like, I went to stage, I wrote my jokes, first time in my life, I don't write. Just give me a camera, I'll do whatever to make someone laugh. And I did that, and I realized, you know what, let me re-prepare this. I want to give people myself, and people always, when I chill with people, they're like, no, dude, we want to see you make us laugh in real time, you know what I'm saying? And that's where I think, as a comedian on social media, that's where we are all, deep down, we are all looking at, to be honest.
No, but you know what I will say, because also when I came into stand-up, like it was a time where stand-up was going through its own things, right?
Yeah.
So like Trevor Noah, and I'll say this Trevor Noah was the biggest wave of South African comedy, which really created an industry and broke it at the same time. Because when I came into a lot of people that have been there around when Trevor Noah wasn't there when I started. But when you're going through the spaces of comedy, you could realize that there's a lot of aftermath of what's going on. Either people feel certain ways about him, or you know, people are happy or they're unhappy or whatever. But you could feel like there's a Trevor Noah impact here. Like you could, there's a
10 past 4.
you can feel that. So when we came in, like a lot of people were very traditionalist about comedy. So they would drill it into you. You need to be at comedy every day. You must have a 5-minute set. You must do this. You must do that. So now you're getting taught by all these people, and you're following it without knowing, because you're a child and these are your heroes. You know, you're looking at your heroes when they're around. But when you speak to, like, when I speak to Zilla a lot. Now Primo, I speak to him a lot, and I've realized that we all think the same. All the people in comedy, we all think the same. It's just a bunch of misfits. It's just a bunch of misfits in a space. We just we think the same, we do things the same. And then when you open your mind to doing all that stuff, then you realize that there's a bigger world than to stand up. Like when you do stand up, you do a crowd of 50 people at a time. When you do social media stand up, you do it to an infinite amount of people at a time. So who do you want to be in front of? Do you want to be in front of 50 people and
50
hope
real
that,
people? Or 4 million fake.
Can you do both though?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing both.
You're
now.
doing both? Yeah. So it's possible to be a stand-up comedian and also to gain, you know, huge traction on social media.
I mean, I don't want to say it's tough, but it's like at the highest level, we haven't seen it yet. Right now, I feel like because we're also getting into this social media wave very newly. I mean, to be, you know, kind of commemorated as this really dope social media content creator, really funny one. I didn't expect to be called a comedian in the first place. So the more you get into it, the more you realize that.
So what Primo is saying, to think of, like, no one has done, like, I know we have you on pop-ups, but pop-up, we knew him from stand-up, personally, you know? But now we can all agree he's rocking it also on social media. We are talking about someone who grew up on social media, you know what I'm saying? I remember the first time I showed her, I went on a show, I did a stand-up. Everyone was like, what? Like, everyone was surprised. Wait, you can do this? You know what I'm saying? That's what Primo is saying. We have never seen it at a highest level. And I feel like now, the first person or anyone who's gonna introduce and open that, I also feel like, on that note, I also feel like there's no formula to comedy. You know, what Tsitsi was saying, stand-up comedy, Trevor has made a road like this one. Everyone must go through this path. With us, I don't feel like there's that way. Primo can do what he does and still make people laugh. I can do what I do and still make people laugh. We have the same common goal, you know what I'm saying? And whatever goes out there, we all want to reach the same goal at the end, you know what I'm saying?
So there isn't this huge sense of competition in the comedy community. Like, you guys are not stealing each other's jobs and things like that.
Steal?
I mean, I won't lie.
Primo has all the jobs, so I don't know what we are stealing. I don't know what we are stealing. What are we stealing?
I don't know. We're not stealing. It's all of who deserves it more than the other one. Stealing is like, I had this and you took it from me.
Yes.
That's stealing. But it's more of, do you deserve this? Are your numbers, is your engagement working like that? So I don't feel like someone stole from me if they're doing much better than me. All I need to do to fight them is to make sure I put in the work. Simple.
It's the eyes. It's
Yeah.
the eyes. This industry really just follows the eyes, you know, and these eyes go everywhere. I mean, even me and Zilly just before, we were talking about how there's a guy who just does voiceovers, you know. It's not, you wouldn't consider it a traditional form or it's like this, but the eyes are there. And so the money and the jobs will go there for that amount of time that the eyes are there. So it's like, the more we decide to work together, the more we spread the eyes. The more, you know, there's a lot of people who come to me and say, we saw you on Popcorn and Cheese, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, okay, we just shared eyes.
Yes.
And then when I post my stuff on TikTok, I just shared my TikTok eyes with YouTube, you know what I'm saying? So it's like an exchange of eyes at the end of the day that we're aiming for, where I can bring TikTok eyes to a stand-up show where, you know, he's the headliner, he's one of the headliners, and now TikTok is saying, we see why we use the
Yes.
You know, so I feel like the goal is that exchange, man. The goal is to get to this place where we're not competing and we can call each other and say, hey, Mfethu,
Yo, that thing is up.
But you guys are the people that taught me that.
Yeah.
Like personally, and I feel like you guys brought it into the industry of comedy, is that thing, right? So comedians are very, like I would say a traditional comedian. And I don't know why I'm speaking on traditional comedians' perspective. Get David Gao to do that. You know, like,
No,
but
you're our man today.
yeah, I'm the guy.
You're the
I'm the guy. So what I have noticed, especially about traditional comedy, is that what they do is that it takes a long time for comedians to trust other comedians, right? So, and it's like they have to see you on stage and all that stuff, and that process has kind of made us a little bit look like we are unsure about the rest of the funny industry, right? I've chilled with a lot of social media guys now, people who are known predominantly for social media, or first thing that comes to mind when you think about them is social media. And I realized that the resistance comes from the traditional aspect. It's like you were raised by, a person who was raised by their grandparents and someone who's raised by their parents is a different kind of a person.
Yeah.
So like, I was raised by grandparents, they were raised by their parents. So when they tell you stuff, the first thing to do as a traditionalist is to resist and be like, nah, that's not gonna work. You know, I've seen enough for me to understand that. But now when you look at it, you're like, oh, we were the only people that were resistant. You know, I think that I can speak on behalf of stand-up comedy and say, stand-up comedians are the people that I know have been resistant towards social media guys, not the other way around.
Yeah.
But social media guys have shown us so many avenues of possible ways to make money, possible ways to get more audience.
And either you get with the program or you get left behind, right?
Yeah, and a lot of brews, I can say now, yo.
Yeah. What
They were left behind.
I think that differentiates us from stand-up comedy and comedy on social media. Because now, here's the thing. If now I can make people laugh through what I do, né, and people can make people laugh through what he does, né, I can hit him up and be like, yo, let's work. He doesn't have to see me do anything with him to make, like, he doesn't have to see me do a video that's gonna be viral or anything. He just believes, oh, you made people laugh. Even though he doesn't understand why people are laughing, he's gonna work with me. All I need to from him, I'm gonna be like, yo, just be yourself. I'm gonna be myself. But with stand-up comedy, like, it's so surprising that you guys do that. Or I need to see this person make people laugh.
Yeah, you have to see it first
But
before
with us,
you
it's
can
different.
say.
If he can make people laugh, and I know and I've seen it,
You know
it's done.
why, though? I think it's because naturally, stand-up comedy is a very structured art.
Yeah.
You know, it's been done for so long and by so many people. You know, you can go back to Richard Pryor. You know, you can go all the way back. These people were making albums, just stand-up comedy, you know? So it's very like, it's gone through so much discipline that when you get to this point, it's like, okay, sharp, we either follow this structure or you don't. We kind of the lawbreakers in the fact that, man,
We're just gonna do what we want.
cold drink.
Yeah.
You know, we just keep it moving
Yeah.
in that sense. We don't need to kind of constrict ourselves to doing things in a certain way. So resistance is hard because it's like, dog, we just want to get to the end goal, bro. How we drive there, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
we
really
just want to
matter.
get there.
Yeah.
We just want to get to the laughs.
Because you guys essentially broke the industry
barriers,
of, you guys removed the you know, people would call it the industry, or the people who are in the, you know, like the people controlling stuff, or the people, the corporate. You guys
gatekeepers
broke,
and the-
you know, for lack of a better word, I'll say gatekeepers. You guys broke the gatekeepers and you went straight to the audience, where we didn't know how to do that, because to get onto a stage, a comedian needs to like you and vouch for him to know what, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing that you guys are facing now. When you say, oh, I want to do stand-up, you have to know somebody who's in stand-up in order for you to get the stage that's right for you and stuff. So we had to do that off of Brahm, dude. Like, we had to go from university and figure out your way throughout all these things. Talk to this person, get rejected by so many people. And then one day you get on stage and people are like, oh, this kid's got something. And only then do they give you the opportunity to do anything. And I feel like that's wrong.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like it's wrong. And
you guys mentioned Trevor Noah quite a bit, and you can't talk about comedy without talking about Trevor Noah, right?
I feel like you can't. Because
You can't?
I think he's the most important comedian.
That's our ancestor fully.
Yeah.
He's watching us from above.
Watching.
I feel like it's the most...
I
That's the most important comedian of our time.
Yeah, I just hope we're not just South Africa. I don't want to be surprised in the long run.
Hey, yeah, no, it happens that way.
You know, sometimes it can be like, especially when someone is doing well outside of SA, and when they are winning an award, now South Africa and everything. I just hope he's
Must come and expose.
But but what I wanted to know is...
So,
Yeah. So what I wanted to know is, because, you know, when you mention comedy, you kind of have to mention Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
Did he change what was possible for South African comedians in his ability to transcend to the States? Is something that felt out of reach now possible, or feels rather possible, for local comedians?
Can I just, like, when we saw how America responded to this guy, it was like, oh, wow. Oh, well,
Yeah.
And like, when I started TikTok, I actually trended in America before I trended here.
Wow.
Which was the weirdest thing. I would get 1 million views, American views, with 20,000 South African followers. It was the weirdest dynamic, but I was like, you know what, this is exactly what he made the way for. For these people just to want to laugh at another person and then later figure out, this guy's not from here.
Yes.
This guy, you know, that barrier was broken before they realized. They laughed first and asked later. You know, I think that it made that so much more possible for us as South Africans to say, we can make people laugh first and ask where we're from later.
And he didn't have to change his accent. He didn't have to become someone completely different.
No,
He was the Trevor that we know, is the Trevor that is still...
Exactly. You
who he
see,
is
one
today.
thing about Trevor Noah, especially because the separatists in this industry, especially the stand-up industry, hey, you must be a Venek comedian or this and that. Trevor Noah is the only person, and I guess his being made it opportunistic for him to be able to do that. Colored guy, so he can kind of...
Best of both worlds.
Yeah,
Albino, best of both.
Because when I step on stage,
Yeah.
people expect me to speak Sepedi.
Yeah.
You understand? And...
You don't want that.
And I was like, go ahead.
So I feel like Trevor was the guy who showed us, or you can take it to the top, to this point. We were surprised, or I can take it to this extent without even losing my roots.
I don't have to stay here.
Yeah, like I can, you know, when you don't know a car can go to this speed, but it has that speed. Trevor was the one who showed us, or it can go to
If
this.
it can do it.
Yeah.
So it's nothing, or like, also, I've seen it with the YouTube industry also, like something like that. Now you're talking international and local. I'm from Limpopo. When I came to the YouTube industry, people thought I must be like, yo man, what's up, man, I'm a G Lord. My English was horrible. Like, it was very horrible. And you can feel in one sentence, bring me that thing, something like that. So like, with us, it was the thing of like, you need to like still make sure we know your roots.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? People
Yes.
are wondered. Like, how come this person is not willing to change? You know what I'm saying? But it's still reaching to us.
Is it now Trevor's responsibility to open it up that side for you guys?
I'll tell you. Relax.
Yeah, but
Overrekile.
people like to ask the question,
Chill.
Okay.
Trevor made it that side.
Yes.
Why isn't he opening the door for other
did.
South
He did.
African
There's
media?
people who's opened up
I
doors
think-
for in different ways, in
Me,
writing
yeah.
ways, in
Yeah.
you know, I don't. There's gaps
Me.
he's bridged in ways that we haven't been able to see eye to eye. As an industry.
Yes.
You know, there's things that don't get reported on to say, "Hi, Trevor, this writer is a South African writer. This joke was written by David Kibuka. This was, you know what I'm saying?" So there's things that he does do, but and you know what it's like? It's like when you get famous or when you get a lot of money in the family and you become that person, you want to give everybody 100 thou, 100
Yes,
thou, 100
yes,
thou,
yes,
100
yes.
thou. But you also know what the bank does. You also know, I'm waiting for this check. You know, then you realize that there's a process to everything.
Yes.
He has a process to how that industry works, how he can bridge the gaps. So you have to trust that he's doing his utmost.
Yes.
And it might be an industry that we don't understand.
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
we-
Plus also
we're
it's a
removed from
titan.
it.
It's huge.
Yes, yes, yes.
American, everything there is massive.
He
I've,
gave, no.
So, like, I've personally received a thing from Trevor Noah's career where it's like, my first biggest break was on the Trevor Noah's Nationwide, and got to work with the brewer, and everything was great. But what I realized after all that, because imagine getting called for a Trevor Noah show when Trevor Noah is still on the Daily Show. You know, it's like when he's
Wow.
still, you know, it's
Yeah.
still, it's crazy for you as a kid, and you like coming into. I quit my job for that. You know, I literally left everything I was doing, and I was like, I'm a follow. That's the reason why I became a full-time stand-up comedian. However, I realized after that show, shortly after the show, that Trevor's audience is a peculiar audience. And that's why I say, like, there's no comedian in this country that should ever compare themselves to what the impact that Trevor did. Trevor's audience was a trailblazer audience where it was everybody. The whole of South Africa. I remember I was in grade 9 when Trevor came out. Everybody was literally watching Trevor Noah at some point. And Trevor Noah was dictating how everybody saw everybody else. He was saying, this is how colored people are, this is how black people are, this is how white people are. I had never met Indian people. I was still in Limpopo, you know, rocking my own stuff at the time.
Yeah.
And when I saw that for the first time, I'd never seen Indian people like, you know, there was one Indian person in my school. And I was like, oh, this is how you guys behave at home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Trevor Noah created that space for us. However, I feel like the new stage, the new people in comedy, is their truth to tell the other truths about the people that we have these stereotypes about. Black people don't behave entirely like that.
Yeah.
You know, white people don't behave entirely like that. Indian people don't behave entirely
But
like
there's
that.
aspects of the things that he brought up that we can relate to and we can kind of understand.
Yeah, but
right?
how
And
old,
that's
are,
what made him.
how old are those people now?
And that's why we've got YouTube, we've got social media, right?
Yeah.
Primo, you were talking about longevity earlier on, and you were talking about how, you started on TikTok, you gained a following, and now you're doing other things, right? You're doing comedy, but you're doing other things. You're acting, you're modeling as well. Does that not take away from the kind of sanctity of comedy? Or is that what the industry is that you kind of need to put your hand in a variety of different things in order to kind of make it?
So
Or to earn a living even?
I believe in the power of individuality, fully. If anyone knows me, if anyone's heard of any interview, anything, they'll know I'm a firm believer in being exactly who you think you are. And part of that is seeing what you have, you know?
Yeah.
I know throughout high school, I was a very good public speaker. I knew I'm gonna touch the stage sooner or later. But you can't just go straight there. I knew I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't go to AFTA. I was so intimidated that I didn't study these things, and I didn't do all of these things. So it even can boil down to the Trevor thing. The part of individuality will make you stick out in that sense.
Yes.
You get the open playing field that he lays for you, but it's up to you to stick out in that whole open playing field, you know? So if I want to say I want to be a model, I have to wake up beautiful. If I'm not, it's not something I can try reach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So being realistic in that sense that you reach where you know you can touch, you start there. Then you start seeing that your individuality sprouts in, that expression sprouts into way more ways than one. The acting roles I've been getting are also weird, you know, like I'm a para, I'm a detective, I'm an Uber driver.
Can I ask you a question quickly? Do you not think that that's how the people who are hiring you see comedy?
Or is that how they see you as Primo?
It might be how they see me because I saw so many different, you know, as a content creator, you show a lot of different sides of yourself to keep people watching.
Yes.
You know, you can't just show this again and again and again and again. So I feel like in showing these different parts of yourself, you also get that opportunity to show them how much of their idea you are not. Me and Tsitsi
how
were having this
versatile you are.
conversation. We were having this conversation outside where he was saying, don't be afraid to get into a room and say, I see what you guys want to do, but you see me, my formula would say do it like this and like this and like this. And I feel like that's just a reflection of that power of individuality. If you feel like you can break the way something is done, it's a new way of doing it. It's done. If I can be a model through TikTok, you can't tell me anything. It's done. It's been done. Someone else is probably going to be able to do it. So spread your tentacles.
No, definitely. And for you, Zille, I mean, Primo brings up the whole thing of individuality, right?
Yes.
Did you ever go through a phase as a comedian where you were comparing yourself to other comedians? And did you manage to kind of break away from that? Because I get the sense that now that you now know who you are as a comedian. Was that kind of
Well, how I
push
started,
and pull?
like me, luckily, I started by standing out. I didn't even have to take out myself.
Yeah.
Like by the first time I was on YouTube, people could be like, why is he talking like this? Why is, like, it was so easy for me. So by me standing out from the beginning, by me being like, why is he talking like that? Why is he, like, you know, and also my height difference and everything, it also makes me stick out in a way. But it's that thing of like, it made things easier for me. So I learned from the get-go, or no, man, I should stick to who I am, I should stick to my roots, and any character that you're gonna give me, my Zille is gonna be there inside. Give me a granny, Zille is gonna be there. Give me a what, my character is still gonna be there. Because at the end of the day, people want you for who you are. So what I did, I carried myself to a point where, Muna, give me anything, take me to US right now. You're gonna still feel this person is from Limpopo. So with me, it was a thing of like, I just took it how it started. I was like, oh, people are actually interested in how I do things. Let me not derive from that. You know what I'm saying? But also open room for improvement. You can still improve, but still keep your personality and your character inside. So yeah.
Tsitsi, is that the formula for being a comedian? Is it really about being yourself, or can I pretend my way through it? Part of me feels like you can pretend your way through it. If I write down all my jokes and I stand up in front of a crowd and I act it out, would I not be able to convince them that I'm funny?
How long are you gonna carry them?
Forever and ever, amen.
Carry them, convincing. Because now you're not convincing them only, you're also convincing yourself. So are you enjoying that? Do you want people to know you as that person no longer you pretended to be like? So the good thing is you don't even feel a burden when you're yourself. I'm just like this every day. Simple as that.
Can I say something? And maybe I'm sure fellow comedians will agree with me.
Okay.
When someone is acting, you know they're acting.
Yeah.
And if you don't, if they're really good, if they're that good, time will expose them. Because comedy really happens at its best when it's fully connected to the truth in one way or another. If it's connected to the truth that we are all experiencing as a collective, or if it's the truth that I'm experiencing on my own as an individual. After time, in time, you always get to see, and people expose themselves. The way you talk about something, the way it actually doesn't resonate, or the way it doesn't relate in certain aspects. It exposes itself over time, and if not time, it exposes itself in the quality. Like, who apere Air Force, acing Air Force.
Yeah.
It crack before Air Force, it crack on. So you will see it.
That's a powerful analogy. And that's what the show is about, is powerful analogies.
You know, I definitely feel like acting has that thing, you know, and comedy needs and thrives and lives off realness and truth.
I would say this on my personal thing. When I started comedy, I had to assimilate to a lot of what the culture was doing, because you're coming in as this kid who has nothing else, and you're just trying to get everything that you want from this dream out of these people. So what that essentially does is that it makes you, you know, they tell you the rules, and then you assimilate them the best way you know how. So you can break a little bit of them, but you won't break the industry. You'll, like, they'll say, yeah, the thing is, like, you need to have a first 5 minutes, like, write 5 minutes of jokes that you can perform everywhere and repeat it until it's perfect. So you'll do that. Maybe, like, as a young kid, you're like, I'm gonna do 20 minutes, you know, I'll do 30 minutes. But you're not really breaking the industry, you're just doing more work that they've thinking. And then, you know, for a long time, even on Nationwide, I was doing that. You know, I don't swear in public or, you know, as a person, but I was swearing in my comedy at the time. And eventually, you know, a lot of personal stuff happened, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna be myself. And I'm gonna be the same person that I am to people out there. I don't go out, I chill at home, I'm always at comedy. Like, it's either I'm at comedy, writing, or sleeping, or at a corporate, you know. And as soon as I started doing it, stuff started happening, you know. Now we're on, you know, popcorn and cheese, and like, you know, selling out shows, and you know, people just coming.
Your true potential then starts pulling things towards you. You're not pulling things towards you anymore.
And you know what the thing is? You feel so lazy. Like, you feel lazier than when you were when you're acting. Like, you feel lazy. You're like,
it's just coming.
Yeah, you're like, how? Why is this opportunity here? I didn't work hard. I slept.
It doesn't feel like work anymore.
So I feel like once that happened, and this is how I realized with my social media brothers and sisters, is that when I started immersing myself in the world, then you start realizing how the real world works. When you start immersing yourself in your TikTok, when you start immersing yourself, then you start creating an audience of people that care about you, that want to be, you know, nowadays when people like see something in the world, they're like, I wonder what they call, they're like, I wonder what he's going to say. Sometimes when I do stuff, they tag him and they're like, I wish that Primo can reply. I've never lived in this kind of world, because the world I lived in was like, you see something, and then 2 weeks later, or 5 months, or 13 months later, 4:10, you're doing a gag.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that doesn't work in this world.
Yeah. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about content in comedy, right? So the content that you choose to post, the content that you choose to use in your stand-up, the material. There was a time when comedians would get on stage and say anything. The subject matter was broad. It's changed now because people have changed. Topics have changed. Do you guys feel like today's society is a bit too sensitive, or are you understanding and a little bit sympathetic of why certain jokes will not work in 2023? Yeah, I'm asking the hard questions, okay?
But as hard as it is, right, I think I said this at the Grind Festival. You know when you're crossing the line.
At the what?
That's the thing.
You know.
You know.
You have intuitive feelings that tell you, your gut feeling, your intuition says, someone might feel touched about this. So, and you decide how you deal with what's on the other side of that. So I think before, right, there wasn't any repercussions. There wasn't people saying, oh, you said this.
There was no
I'm
cancel
gonna tell
culture.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was also no social media, non-physical collectivity. Now there's so much, globalization has opened up so much so that you can be a collective and not ever meet. So now it's like, if you say something, for example, bad about the LGBTQ community, they can band up without meeting and crush you.
Simple as
Without any, like, you know, physical meat or anything. Someone can just say something and someone say, we agree, and we can put you down. You knew probably when you were saying something that someone is going to get touched.
So,
you knew before.
So on that, how I do it like in a way, or How am I gonna feel when someone says, yo, I saw this video of you? You know what I'm saying? Am I gonna be comfortable if you ask me about the video or something I spoke about in real life?
Or are you going to be embarrassed by
Hey,
it?
am I gonna be like, nah, let's not talk about that? If someone comes to me and talks about pap, I'm willing to talk about it. If someone comes to me and talk about hubby, I'm willing to talk about it because that's my real life. So what you take it down to your personal values as a person. Do you want people to perceive you as a person or certain things or bad about? Are you gonna be able to talk with the person now? Once you feel not comfortable, there's something wrong.
You know what I also feel like? Sorry to
No
interrupt you.
stress.
I just got a quick wisecrack. Yeah, let me get this out of my system. Let me cook right now. Let me cook. So I feel like there's this thing that happened, right? Where when you were a stand-up comedian, you were so separated from everybody else.
Yes.
You were above. You were on this pedestal. We see you once a year on stage. We see one special. We see, okay, these shows. But then we don't really see you that much. Social media, your people are right here. People can DM you if they're not happy.
Simple.
You get out, you go to the shop, they're right here. You know, and because you're not a celebrity as a social media person, you're not gonna walk around with bodyguards, or you're not gonna be able to say, I'm not going out this whole week, someone's gonna do my shopping for me.
You're a normal person.
Go tlhagana le motho he ke patela ba tlo mpotsa gore emeneng no ru reng pele no ru wa reng no ru check us
And you need to have the answers.
yeah
So we're not ready.
you know, so we the proximity is like here now, you know, and I feel like that access is what is changing and making everybody a lot more sensitive. It's like, you know me, you've probably come across someone who's LGBTQ, who would get offended by that, and they weren't a bad person. Or you came across the stereotype where the stereotype didn't apply. And you know that exists.
Yes.
And that flag went off when you decided, this thing matches this, let me talk about this. You thought about it because you've experienced it. The world is so wide now.
It's a thing, or if you meet the people, like, are you gonna be able to talk about it face to face? Because as content creators, we meet these people every day. Some of them even surprised, or hey, ukara taxi ni nama nakani. Like you're just buying bread. Hey, mona zilo umo, mona I stay here. Am I going to be comfortable when someone approaches me? Because at the end of the day, I'm a normal person, and you made a very valid point out. We stand-up comedians, you wouldn't see them. You won't.
Exactly.
Like back in you won't. But I show you to I wanna someone recording like a phone go kuta.
Sure.
You will wait for the special, something like that, and that will be done.
That's it. Now, after I do a show, on Monday I'm gonna post a story. You're gonna see how I woke up. You can comment on what I'm eating.
Yes.
You see it like this.
You know where
There's
We're too
access.
close.
There's more
This is too much.
access
Yeah,
now.
the barriers are broken.
Yeah.
Globalization has changed so much. It's not even funny. The internet is it's an incredible place.
Yeah.
You experience people the same way I say that you don't need to be in physical proximity to experience collectivity. It's the same way you don't need to be physical with someone to feel like I'm very close to this person, to feel like I can chat to this person, or to experience the next group of people. You want to talk about Xhosa men, they have hips. You've experienced them right here. If they want to, they can beat you up.
Yeah.
You've experienced them, so you know it exists. The internet has exposed you to almost everything.
Yeah.
You've seen Tians. If you don't know what Xhosa is,
Culture
you've seen
can
the Tians.
physically cancel you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
Now, Tsitsi, in terms of material, I mean, we're talking about the internet, right? But the internet can work for you, but it can also work against you,
facts.
and it can snap like that
an instant.
and be completely over. When we go back to the conversation around the kind of material that comedians choose to, you know, put on when they do stand-up, when they do social media, whatever the case might be, as a comedian, do I need to focus on one subject matter? Like, if I'm the political comedian, do I need to stay the political comedian? Or would you advise that we talk about whatever it is that we like?
You know, like, first of all, the question that you asked earlier, I stopped swearing, or I cut down a lot on the swearing content because that's not who I am. You know, like, I don't, like, I'm not a swearing person at all. I started stand-up in a church, and after doing Trevor Noah Nationwide, I had said some bad swear words on the show, and one of the priests came up to me, she was like, yo, we want to support you, like, when can you watch your shows? And yeah, exactly.
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 Don't
Like,
come to the show.
I felt exactly the way you did now. I was like, Like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, that made me feel like if I cannot share what I do with my parents, with my mom, with the people that I love, then I shouldn't be doing it. And I stopped. Like literally that day, I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna do this again. Although that thing received such great feedback, I was like, this is not who I am. It's the same thing as like when you write, like I would never write that kind of material because I was raised by my mom, by my dad. My mom and dad don't do that stuff. My family never did that stuff. I just did it on the street because I saw it was cool somewhere else, you know, and I assimilated to that kind of a thing. And I guess for me right now in writing material, it's all about that. If it's something I cannot repeat in church, or I cannot repeat to the people that I love, not even about
respect,
church.
and respect.
Yes,
Yeah.
the people that I love and respect need
Whose
to be able.
opinions you care for.
Yeah, because I was doing stuff for comedians, man, and doing stuff for comedians is doing stuff for your competition.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you know what I can say about that too? A lot of people tend to undermine how much intelligence goes into comedy. I feel like comedy then becomes a show off of your intelligence in something. If you know politics, when you talk about it, you can the people to the point of laughter.
Yes.
If I know family matters and dynamics, I can wear a gown and try to represent my mom in the best way, and I can represent a child. You know, so people gravitate to how well you can talk about this thing. If I can relate to, hey, dog, this guy actually opened my mind on that. So I feel like with choosing the topics, choose where your intelligence lies, dude. If you know you're a car guy, you can make car jokes way better than any other person. Even the best comedian in the world can't make car jokes the way you make car jokes. You have insight. So stick to what you do and what you know. Stick to your interests. Also, that's where the quality really comes from. When you are interested, you are invested. When you are inside, you will dig deeper. You will go to the end and say, okay, Shap, I'm satisfied with this topic. I can come back and talk about whatever.
Yeah.
You know, on that, every time I feel like this won't bang or this won't be a good thing, is when I try to force it. When I'm doing something, I repeat myself. That's why I feel like, something here is wrong. This is not me. But once I do it at one go and I post the same time and I even forget about it, that's why I know this is going to be a bang.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for me. You know what I'm saying? It's relatable. It's something that I know. If I can imitate my mom, if I can imitate my granny, it's something that I grew up.
It's you. It's your life. No one can tell you about that.
But
And
now-
I feel like flipping cancel culture.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right.
No,
It's
I feel
okay.
like flipping cancel culture should also allow for people to make mistakes. There are people who are insensitive, and it's very clear to see.
Yes.
But there's people who genuinely make
Made a
mistakes.
mistake. Yeah.
And if you're not willing to rehabilitate mistakes, then you're going to cancel half of the world. And then we're going to be somewhere, half of the world is going to be somewhere one day, and they're going to be like, you know what? Let's create a canceled place
But
and
guys,
just be canceled the
I
whole
hear
life.
you, but this
you cannot
one-
cancel people for making mistakes.
I hear you,
You
right?
cannot do that.
I really feel like cancel culture, as powerful as it is, it's not the monster we think it is. It's not this great big thing waiting to catch you if you turn in the wrong corner.
It feels that way, though.
I know, of course it does, because there's so much spotlight and it's this whole thing. But we've seen influential people just slip through it. We've seen these things. We've seen people get cancelled on one day and they pop up at a gig the next day.
And no one says
But they're human, bro. The culture of human beings, and this is why stand-up, right, on stage is more is like perceived to be better than social media because there's no these repercussions on stage. There's no repercussions like this on stage.
Okay.
On stage, bro, people can say whatever they want, or they can say a lot more than what social media people
Can say, yeah.
because there's no repercussions, there's no recording, there's no I'm gonna say this twice.
But don't you think
Yes.
Dave Chappelle showed us that there's repercussions with that whole thing that happened?
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle did it in a social media age. This is on Netflix. I'm talking about I'm performing tonight. You're gonna see it tonight. If I choose to record this thing, you'll see it on Showmax, on Netflix, on Netflix, on Netflix, on Netflix, on Netflix.
Yeah.
You'll see it on that kind of thing. So we have never had to deal with that stuff. We have to deal with human beings because the culture of comedy is human beings. A human being's character is flawed. All of us here are flawed.
Yeah.
Fully.
All of us here
And you see-
have things that if people knew about us, that cancel us
Would
right
be-
now.
yeah.
See, but that's
You
what I say.
understand?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you about that is that you cannot take that away from a human being. That you have the character that could be cancelled if we knew certain things about you. It could be a mistake. And we need to give you that benefit of a doubt. And I feel like that's the only thing about social media that I feel like, okay, it's scary. That is scary about social media, is that they will hype you up so much. I don't want my career to be in the hands of 15,000 people. No. Even if they're my followers, I don't want that.
Yeah. I mean, you guys mentioned streaming platforms just now, and it's kind of making me think about whether streaming platforms, broadcasters, care for comedians the way that they should. Should they be? Because, I mean, you look at streaming platforms, you look at TV, and the comedians in the States have their own shows, they've got their own special, they've got their own, and there's so many of them that you can tune into. Do you guys get the same kind of, Primo, the same kind of, I guess, opportunity? Do we need more of that?
We do. We do. It's just so, I won't lie, it's hard to put into words because,
I feel like it's still early. We can say.
Yeah.
There's no market yet. We are still
well,
building.
it's there, but
There's
it's
no
not
industry,
structured.
It's not structured.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't confirm.
You can't
Yeah.
put us in a box.
Exactly.
And are you guys waiting for them to give you the go-ahead, or are you more, we just want to create our own platforms rather?
No, it's too politicized. The people controlling the money, and I think it is the money. There needs to be a thing where they say, if you're doing this for this is how much we kind of know that you're making. And that number needs to be so much higher than what that person thinks they would be making. Like the idea of getting into an industry and saying, I'm going to be like an American. You will never be like an American.
Yeah, facts.
Nasty C, like all these rappers that are here, if they were elsewhere, they'd have all the things that they talk about.
Yeah.
They'll have the Lamborghinis, they'll have the Bugattis. All the comedians, take every comedian that's on the level that they are in South Africa, take them elsewhere. Immediately, everything changes.
There'll be 10
If
times.
somebody else controls the money, they literally control what you can say. If I have 100,000 rands and I'm giving it to someone who has 5 rand in their account, and I tell them, hey man, sell Satan right now. Regisha Satan,
That took a
boy.
turn.
I'm telling you, it's not gonna take a lot of convincing. After a while, it's gonna be like, hey, what's again, guys? I think Satan had an idea, hey, and I think let's talk about that idea that Satan.
So I also think what social media is doing is breaking that power that had. You know, before it was easy for a corporate to say no to you, or it was easy for you to be blocked out of somewhere. Now it's hard. You can't block someone out if everybody knows who they are.
Exactly. If
You
the number-
can't block me out if everybody likes me.
You can't.
It will show. You know, so it's like, so because also, I won't lie, my path has been very sensationalized. My path came so big, like my attention came in a very short amount of time. I got a whole lot of it. And it made me realize that if people like you, they'll put you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also show them the opportunities that they can give you. If I can make content in so many different platforms in so many different ways, I've showed myself to be able to sell a lot of things. I can sell a format of stories, and stories as in how on Instagram, the story format. I can sell 5 stories at a specific package. And then I can sell a post at a specific package. And then I can sell this, and I can sell emceeing, and I can sell this, and I can sell this. Once they realize that you can sell it, you've just created the opportunity for yourself to do that thing. Now it's just about how well you're going to do it again and again and again and again every time they give you that opportunity. So if I feel like I have right now I have about 870,000 followers on TikTok. If I feel like that's enough for me to try to do something else, and someone else agrees, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If these people think 850,000 followers is good enough to promote KFC or to promote a food brand, it will happen whether that exists or not, just merely because there is that opportunity and there's that value, potential value in that. So I think the impetus then becomes showing that potential value in as many ways as you can. Yeah. And that's why I feel like it's not a bad thing to do everything. It's not a bad thing to say, this leads me here, and this leads me to being a model, and this leads me to being that, and this does, and the other.
Yeah.
I feel like it all just shows what you show you can do, what you show is possible. Yeah. You know, if I'm good enough to be a stand-up comedian just because I'm so funny behind the camera, me being good at it is the only thing that can stop me.
Yeah.
But you know what my thing is now? Like, we must just get rid of these categories. Because these categories just separate the artists. And what you do when you separate the artists, you separate the people who love the art.
Yeah.
People who laugh, let me tell you now, people who laugh at me and both of y'all don't care what we both do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
They just want to laugh.
Exactly.
They just want the laugh.
We are the ones with the fight. When you do it on social media, you do it on TikTok, whatever. And like, no one cares.
And you know what's funny? What Primo was saying, you find they're doing something now, man. Maybe it's a comedy special type thing, and you're not there. But you're killing it on yourself. People will literally be in the comment section and be
saying
like,
you should have been there.
Why isn't he there? You know who would have been perfect? Smama.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. So what I realized, don't pitch on yourself.
Yeah.
As long as you are at the highest level of yourself, your best potential, people who support you,
they'll gravitate.
They'll take you there. You know what I'm saying? There'll be a whole show, 6 seasons there. They'll be like, nah, I understand the season was fire, but next season, please make sure you put Zille here.
Exactly.
And they will be forced to be like, you know what, now we kind of like,
yeah.
That's how it works. But only if you work to your full potential, you do whatever, and you show people, you make them learn, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. Yeah, they will be like, okay, he's capable of this.
So show up for you first and show up for the community online that you've built for yourself first before we can move on over there.
Yes.
Zille, before we wrap up, any last words for anyone who's kind of wanting to walk into the space that you are at now?
For me personally, just like a lot of work, I've realized this, a lot of work is done out of social media. Don't think you're going to blow up by being with someone. Just focus, check what is missing. The market is very, very like, there's gaps inside. Do your research, and after you do your research, make sure the way you execute it, make it your own self, you know what I'm saying? And also, make sure that you don't go for money, guys. If you want to be happy, don't go for money now, because it's going to demotivate you when you start. You know what I'm saying? So just go for a reach. Look for a comment. If someone in the comment section says, this was so fun, make that your goal. You know what I'm saying? And in that way, you're going to be very, very good. Be proud of yourself, and that's all, man.
Yeah. And for you, Tsitsi?
Never ever put yourself on a pedestal, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like a lot of it comes from different places. I could get a standing ovation, I could get 10,000 followers, I could get 10,000 views, I could get 1 million views, I could get 1 million reshares, whatever. Never ever put yourself on that pedestal. For me, what still matters today is how fire the next joke that I write is. And that mentality has come with like a lot of blessings. Like, this has been the best year of my life. Crazy. Like, I've done so many crazy things, been with so many crazy people, all because this year I was just like, I want to be the funniest person in the world. Yeah. In the world. Like, and nothing is too big to dream about. But never ever put yourself on the pedestal that you thought you could be. Yeah. Like, I want to be that's what I want to do. I want to be the funniest person in the world. And that's it.
Stay focused.
Whatever deal comes out of that, comes out of that. But once you start worrying about deals and, hey, where am I getting my money? Then you start becoming the guy that comes on set and starts worrying, what do you do? How much are you getting paid? What do you do? How much are you getting paid?
And you lose sight of why you were here to begin with.
Why is Primo here? They're only paying me 15,000.
Yeah.
Oh, no ways. Then you lose the essence of catering for your audience. Your audience cares about you so much that they will even care about the fact that you don't have bread.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And you don't care about that because you worried about what Zille is doing so much better than you. Dude, like, this is organized chaos. It's an organized chaos industry. And if you carry on doing that, creating bigger crowds, discriminating against the discrimination, breaking the ideas of what women, black men, all these things that were previously disadvantaged are, and talking about your real life. I've never ever dealt with certain things that I've seen that I thought I was gonna be having to deal with. And if you deal with that from that perspective, from an artistic perspective, and you really just question yourself every single day about what can I do that can change the world and become that person, that is the best.
Stay true to yourself. Stay true to who you are.
Stay true to
right?
yourself.
Yeah.
Would
For
your
you, Primo?
grandmother love it if you are talking about bitches on TV?
Okay.
I'm joking.
Hey, whoa, hey, this is a family show. For you, Primo, any last words that you have for anyone who's, wanting to become a comedian?
Just find your truth, man. Once you find your truth and sense of individuality, you will probably be unstoppable.
Yep.
Because your audience is, the people who are going to keep coming back are going to look for that one thing that they know is you. They know it's undeniable that every time you're going to express that part of yourself, they're going to feel something because it's the truth. Find that truth, expand on that truth. That's when your audience expands with you, So just find yourself, chill with yourself, practice yourself, give them yourself, and they will give themselves to you.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much to my guests for today. Zille, Tsitsi, Primo, thank you so
You've been
much.
amazing,
My name is Nia Brown. I've been your host on
you so
Half a
much.
Corner Couch. And thank you so much at home for watching and for tuning in. I hope that you took away a lot from, what the guys had to say. I know I definitely did. Thank you so much. Love you lots. We'll see you next time.
What advice do you have for them?
Gosh, you're putting me on the spot. I don't know what to say. Just kill it. Just do it. Just start.
Yes.
Just start. You never know. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.
So we could just get on